Okay, we are on the holding screen right now. YouTube says September, or at least I edited to say September. Because I just changed that before I hit go live. So, um, all right, I'm ready to transition.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our September 2024 Judge Foundry board meeting. This will be the last meeting for our current board before we hand over to our new incoming board members for next year, for 2025. So special congratulations to Toby and Brooke as our new incoming members, also to John Bryan, Joe, and Rob, who will be continuing on as part of the board for next year. I want to take a moment here to say happy birthday to Bears. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Amanda.
Seconded.
No singing, please.
Great planning that we plan a board meeting on your birthday. Maybe not so great. But congratulations. And okay, I want to say thank you to everyone who attended our annual meeting, whether you did that in person or via Zoom. If you missed it, you can watch the recording on YouTube. Also, a huge thank you to everyone who voted in our elections and elected our first elected board of directors for 2025. I'm looking forward to seeing what our new board has in store for us for 2025. Thank you to the 170 members who have responded to our RCQ survey. We're aiming to have results on that in October. Also, note that the Dustmorn update quizzes are going to open next week after the policy update goes live, so be on the lookout for those. As a reminder, you'll want to do those for your maintenance. And September, also as a reminder to everybody, September 30th is your last chance to transfer over your Judge Academy level. Anybody else have any kind of beginning of the day intros or anything I want to add here? Okay, great. Then we'll move into approval of the minutes. If everybody's had a chance to take a look at those, does anyone have any comments or objections? Okay, great. We will consider the August 2024 meeting minutes approved. As a note, we might want to change the title on that.
Yes,
like we've got a typo.
I typoed it. Yep.
Okay. Also, as a special procedure just for this meeting, because we are handing over to the new board for our next meeting, this board will not be a group to approve the minutes for this meeting, and so we are appointing a committee to approve those. We've discussed that beforehand, and Rob, John Bryan, and Joe will be on the minutes approval committee for approving the September 2024 minutes. Do I have any objections, or all in favor? Okay, perfect, unanimous there. I'm not sure if I had to vote on that, but we will. Okay, so that's approved. Then we will move into our updates. First off, we have Joe with membership.
Yeah, so the membership update for the last month, we have a new class of members because we voted to change the bylaws in the annual meeting to recognize uncertified judges who are members of Judge Foundry as affiliate judges. So we now have 295 affiliate judges, which is up 14 from the number of uncertified judges we had at this time last month. We're up 46 to 406 L1s. We're up 9 to 244 L2s. We got one new L3 and we lost one L4 in the last month, according to my data. So that gives us a total of 999 Judge Foundry affiliate and certified members, which is up 69 from last month.
A very round but not round number. Continuing on with our treasurer's report, John Bryan.
Thanks, Amanda. As of today, we have $31,109 in the bank and liabilities of $3,681 for a balance of $27,428. In August, then we brought in $4,200 in revenue, roughly. That's a mix of dues and merch sales. Expenses for the month totaled $3,057. A majority of that was, of course, buying the merch that was sold, as well as expenses for our annual meeting. I expect that this month will probably be a high watermark for expenses in the near future, but we do still have some programs we have funded but not yet spent on, so do look for that to be actually spent in the next few months.
Thank you, John Bryan. With that, we will move on to new business. We do have 4 resolutions that are being proposed, so I'm going to dive right in on those. Our first resolution is for a regional advisor special election. This is to fill Toby's role, since Toby is now going to be on the board, and that role will be open. So I'm going to read that to us. Whereas the regional advocate for the Western Provinces region was elected to the board of directors for the 2024-2025 term, whereas no member may serve simultaneously as director and a regional advocate, whereas this will cause a vacancy in the position of regional advocate for the Western region when the new term of directors begins on October 1st, 2024, and whereas the regional leadership rules state that the board of directors may schedule an election to fill a vacancy in the position of a regional advocate, therefore resolved that a special election will be held to fill a vacancy in the position of regional advocate for the Western Provinces region, that resolved that this election will be held by ballot without a meeting, resolved that balloting will begin on October 19th, 2024 and continue for 24 hours. Resolved that the record date for this election is October 18th, 2024 at 12 noon Central Daylight Time. Resolved that the election committee is authorized to spend up to $50 on software and similar purchases to facilitate this election. And resolved that the election committee will make all other determinations regarding the administration of this election. Does anyone have anything they would like to comment before we move to voting on this resolution?
Yeah, just for clarity for those watching, the record date of October 18th, the functional purpose of that is that that's the date that people need to be a member by in that province or in that region in order to be eligible to vote.
Okay.
Just clarifying
Yeah.
that's what that means. Yes, we all agree. Okay, great.
So yeah, so if you're in the Western Province and you want to make sure you get a vote and you're not yet a member, that's time to join.
Yeah, and I'll just speak to the timing here. So I worked with Dan Collins in the election committee to figure out the timing here. Our goal was to have the minimum amount of time with the Western provinces don't have a regional advocate, and so that's sort of how we got here. I recognize this is a shorter voting window than we had for previous RAs. That's based on Dan and I looking at the data on voting velocity, and the reality is that most people vote as soon as they get their email. Most of the votes that came in after that were when they got more emails. And so there's only about 40 judges voting in this region. We felt that doing it for one day rather than pulling out another whole week would better serve the Western Canadians and getting a new RA in there right away.
Okay. Does anyone else have any comments or anything they'd like to discuss relative to this resolution? Okay. In that case, all in favor? Okay, so that is 5 in favor. Resolution 1, Regional Advisor Special Election, passes. Moving on to Resolution 2, which is parliamentarian expenses from our annual meeting. Big picture, Matt was kind enough to come and help us out in a professional capacity at our meeting. He provides a lot of support to these meetings as well. And so as an organization, we would like to cover his expenses for travel to the meeting. So resolution, whereas in order, I'm probably duplicating stuff. I apologize, guys. Whereas in order to ensure that our meeting was held in a manner that complies with Judge Foundry's bylaws, with state and federal law, and with our organization's principles, Judge Foundry benefited from having a professional parliamentarian present at our meeting. Whereas Matt Schaefer is a trained and experienced parliamentarian who has demonstrated his expertise and familiarity with our procedure, whom we asked to attend our annual meeting to serve as parliamentarian. Resolved, Judge Foundry authorizes the expenditure of up to $650 to reimburse Matt Schaefer for travel costs incurred to attend the 2024 meeting, contingent upon submission of receipts. Any discussion on Resolution 2?
I just wanted to add a couple things for context, which is that I think Judge Foundry was reasonably thrifty in how we tried to architect Matt's expenses, which is, I think, a great boon to the membership. And I also wanted to echo that I think Matt did a fabulous job for the meeting. It's going to be, I think, exceptional that we would approve this kind of expense, but hopefully everyone who tuned into the meeting saw that it was worth it. So that Matt did a fantastic job, and he was providing legitimate professional services for us. So it seems quite fair.
Yeah, to contextualize it, then this is 75 cents a year of your dues to ensure that we follow legal procedures and don't incur many more expenses by doing things wrong. So that's an insurance bet I think any of us would take.
Okay, then if there's no other discussion, I'd like to move to voting. All in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. Resolution 2, continuing with Resolution 3, which is Mattermost professional license and ongoing costs. So I'm going to read this one and then we'll talk about it because I'm realizing I'm repeating a lot of things. Whereas Judge Foundry needs a professional level chat platform, whereas Mattermost, through its nonprofit program, has offered Judge Foundry a 3-year nonprofit professional license for $250. Whereas Judge Foundry needs to pay for hosting for this self-hosted chat solution, and whereas an appropriately sized Amazon EC2 instance has a cost based on usage that is not likely to exceed $20 per month for this hosting. Resolved that Judge Foundry acquire a 3-year nonprofit professional license with Mattermost for the use of their chat platform. Resolved that a payment of $250 is authorized for this license, and resolved that up to $25 per month is authorized for the hosting of the Mattermost instance. I'm going to hand this over to Rob to chat with us.
Yeah, I've been working a bit on this. So Mattermost is a self-hosting chat service where you can host it locally on a computer or in the cloud, like on an Amazon instance that's just dedicated to us and stores all of our chat information. Slack and it is much more expensive for a similar kind of service. So is Teams. Those are the other big competitors for a professional style large org chat service. $250 for a 3-year professional license is a very good deal for a service like this. And the Mattermost has a number of other features that are tucked into it. Notably, it has the ability to authorize from outside sources. So the objective is to have the Judge Apps login that you have, that every member has, automatically provide a login to Mattermost. And that's part of the professional package as well. That is part of that license. This would allow us to have that professional license, have it automatically authorized from Judge App's chat service, and would allow us to host and manage our own data on it. There wouldn't be any provider that could cut us off. We couldn't have Discord decide that they want to shut down our Discord and then we lose all of our chat history. Likewise, Slack can do the same kind of thing. Mattermost, because it's a self-hosted instance, is safe from any of that. And we'd have full ability to access archives, access any of the files, and have control over that instance. And so we want that level of capability and control in a chat service, and the pricing is quite good for it.
So we've been thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
We've been investigating quite a bit in the background, and we believe this tool is a good option. Obviously, the next board will have the choice of direction of what they want to do, but what this resolution will allow us to do is to go ahead and get that license so that we can set that up and basically test it out and determine whether this is the right direction going forward. Anybody else have anything to add? Okay. Then we will vote. All in favor for Mattermost professional license and ongoing costs. Okay, that passes with 5 in favor. Moving on to Resolution 4, which is a lapsed member reinstatement policy. Whereas under Section 3.2 of the bylaws, quote, the board of directors may develop criteria and a procedure to admit or reinstate a member directly into any class of member. A 2/3 vote is required to adopt, amend, or rescind the member admission criteria or procedure, end quote. And whereas without reinstatement criteria or procedures, a former Judge Foundry member who wants to resume their membership will rejoin as an affiliate member and must perform advancement to return to their previous member classification. And whereas according to our value of fairness, the board wants to avoid creating situations where members may perceive they have a monetary incentive to temporarily resign from membership. And whereas according to our value of quality, completing the annual renewal requirements is an important part of remaining a Judge Foundry member in good standing. Resolved that the board adopts the following reinstatement procedures, and resolved that these procedures shall be publicized on the Judge Foundry website. The procedures here are fairly short, so I'm just going to go ahead and read those as well. Judge Foundry reinstatement procedures. This is the proposed procedure. A lapsed member is defined as a member who has 1, been dropped from membership due to a non-payment of dues as defined in the bylaws 3.6, or 2, voluntarily resigns or cancels their membership. A lapsed member is not a member nor a class of membership, just for clarification. The date that the member was dropped from membership or resigned as appropriate is defined as their lapse date. A lapsed member is reinstated to the class of membership they held before lapsing if 1, the lapsed member has completed all applicable membership renewal requirements as if they had been a member in good standing since their lapse date. 2, the lapsed member informs the board of directors that they wish to be reinstated. And 3, the lapsed member pays member dues for any month of membership that they have not yet paid, as if they had been a member in good standing between their lapse date and the present date. If the member initiated any chargebacks or disputes in the process of canceling their membership, these dues and associated fees must be remitted as well. A lapsed member who is reinstated remains responsible for completing the renewal procedures, if appropriate, as specified in bylaws 3.4. And the board may delegate the power to review and approve reinstatement requests to another group or person or group. The board may change or withdraw this delegation by majority vote. So I think that's pretty straightforward, but do we have any discussion we want to have on that?
I just wanted to speak on this a little bit since I did some work on this along with the rest of the board. I see this as a first step towards developing these reinstatement procedures. It's something that is new to the judge community, I would say. And the intent with this is to cover some of the cases that we've currently seen, which involves people who actually thought they were dues paying members, but they had an issue with their card. They didn't realize there was a cancellation. And then they got stuck in this state where, according to our bylaws, they are no longer a member and can't easily get back to their previous judge level. So we would like to handle those situations. While we were at it, it made sense to also talk about people who have resigned their membership and think about the potential path forward for them. I do definitely see this as the first step. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's refinements to this over the next several months or year as additional cases come up and we learn from the maintenance/renewal process, for example, as well as other things that come up. So this is meant to be a first step, but I do think it's an important first step for the people who are currently in limbo, which is why it's being proposed tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Bears. And I think that there definitely is a balancing act here, right, to be fair to the people who have lapsed as well as fair to people who have continued to be members and what that balancing point is. So I think this is a good first step. Does anybody have any other discussion?
Just to be clear, the intent, like I'm reading this, but it doesn't say this explicitly. If someone were to say, have this happen to them next January, where their card gets declined and all the things, and they get removed, and then in April they discover all this, part of the part that says has completed all applicable membership renewal requirements includes doing the maintenance that was required to be done by the end of March. Like, as long as they can show, I would have passed maintenance, then they don't have to do anything else. That's the intent here.
Correct. I would add that the way this is currently written is that March 31st, the renewal date, becomes a bit of a cliff for people. So if you left Judge Foundry in January and then in April or May decided to come back, the first clause would actually say that because you didn't complete the maintenance, you are not able to come back, as opposed to doing that. Right. So that's how that's currently written. It does create a cliff, mainly because it doesn't seem feasible to have someone be able to complete maintenance 6, 9, etc. months after the actual deadline. I definitely think that's something that can be refined, but especially as we haven't gotten to that first maintenance yet, this seemed like a reasonable line to pick.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, that's easy enough to implement, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. And I know we do have some people out there in limbo, so this is important to get a policy in place to handle those. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Okay. Then all in favor of Resolution 4? Okay, that one also passes unanimously. Let me pull I lost my document for a second here. Okay. That brings us to the end of our new business, unless anybody has anything else that we need to add.
Do we want to talk a little bit about what the next month for transition looks like and when the new board is functionally live? So that members
I don't have notes in front of me to speak to that directly, but if you would like to start that, I think that you can do that. The next board will be taking over in, I believe, the 1st of October. Is that correct? Yeah, the 1st of October. Yeah. They'll be running the next meeting.
Yep, and the board meeting is when the roles are set for the different board members. So that's when we will be voting as a board to determine who is the president, who's the vice president, who's the secretary, and who's the treasurer. And so we don't have those from the new board yet. So we don't have an announcement of who's in what role until we do that at the board meeting.
Yep, we'll let them, or y'all, for several of you, and then our new members as well, our new board members as well, handle that when they take over next meeting.
Yep, and this isn't to say that Brooke and Toby are not active in doing things. We've been having chats with them about stuff, getting them up to speed on things, and it's just that the way that the schedule is this is the last meeting of the old board, and so we wanted to cover out all the stuff, especially from the member meeting, all the expenses that we had approved, run through all that, because otherwise it gets a little weird. So
right, which is actually brings me to the last point, which is just I want to take this opportunity to thank y'all for to thank everybody for, I guess, letting me serve in this position for this year and run these meetings for y'all. I'm happy to have been a part of getting this set up, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it continues and goes on. I am stepping down from this role, but that doesn't mean that I am stepping down as a judge. And I will continue to be a part of the community. And I expect to still be involved in some capacities. We're still kind of working out what those are. But yeah, thank you, everybody. And I'm going to hand it to Bears because I think they wanted to say something as well.
Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate that. It's truly been a great privilege to be part of the Judge Foundry Exploratory Committee, and then as part of the first board of directors. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have represented you, all the members, over the past year. I'm still very excited for Judge Foundry's vision. It's great to have a members-driven and values-based organization. I think that's very important, and I hope that remains foundational for Judge Foundry long into the future. And in particular, I do believe that Judge Foundry's best days are still very much ahead of us, which is exciting. I also want to take a personal moment to say thank you to everyone who believed in us. Thank you for joining. Thank you for transferring your level to us. Thank you for working on advancement. Thank you for certifying new judges. This would not have been possible without our nearly 1,000 members. I also wanted to acknowledge that the past year has been very difficult. It's been a huge transition, and with any transition, there is going to be a feeling of loss. There's going to be feelings of disruption, and I also want to acknowledge that Judge Foundry has not always been perfect. To the people who have left or resigned from Judge Foundry, I feel your absence very acutely, and I greatly respect the decisions you've made to leave and taking that ultimate form of feedback. I do believe that Judge Foundry has the opportunity and in some sense the obligation to be a very powerful force for good in the judge community for all judges, for all term officials, not just the people who are members. So I'm very excited about that, and I hope everyone will continue to keep that mission in mind in the future. As a final note, please consider lending your time and your talents to Judge Foundry, to the judge community at large. This would not be possible without you, without all the work you do. I do see that. I do acknowledge that. It is a great gift to be part of this community. Thank you very much, and please be the change you want to see.
Thank you, Bears, for putting that so eloquently. Much better than I can do. I second so much of that sentiment. With that, I think that is the end of the meeting, unless anybody has any last thoughts. Then I think that's a great place to leave it. Sign in next week or next month to meet with your new board.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, we are on the holding screen while I wait for the stream to catch up.